Hi everyone, it's the weekend. Mr. M is out with a friend and I decided that I would do one of my walking and reading vlogs. If you haven't seen one of these before, because I haven't done one in about a year, it's where I walk around listening to an audiobook, show you the walk that I go on. I put the walk on a map in case you want to do it too, link it in the description box, and occasionally throughout my walk I'll sit down and talk to you about the audiobook that I'm reading and maybe read a short story from a short story collection that I've taken with me too. So today I'm going to be listening to Case Histories by Kate Atkinson. It's the first in the Jackson Brodie series and I've never read or listened to any of these before. I know that they are very much beloved. I know nothing about Case Histories apart from that it's about Jackson Brodie, who's a private investigator and he's investigating stuff. So we will find out together and I will talk to you about it as I go. And then I'm also taking this with me, which I can read when I stop to have a rest. This is All the Names We Use for God by Anjali Sachiva. I've had this on my shelf for a few months now and I'm really excited by it because it deals with bodily difference a lot, disfigurement, disability, magical realism, a little bit of fairy tale, basically ticking all of the boxes of things that you know I love. I'll link both of those books in the description box if you'd like to go and find out more. I'm not sure where I'm going to be walking to today, but I'm going to start off at Holland Park and I will be taking you along with me. So let's go. Okay, so I have a slight confession. There's going to be more walking footage in a second, don't worry. But normally when I do walking vlogs, I sit down and I film in real time me talking about the books. But for some reason yesterday, I just really felt self-conscious about filming myself. So I just filmed the walking bits and I made notes about how I was feeling about the books and then I'm slotting in my thoughts here. So we're going to get back to the walking in a second. But yeah, I went through Holland Park, saw the peacock. Also, I have a question and I really want to know your answers in the comments down below. That clip where I was showing the fountain, that clip is completely muted and music is playing over the top of it. But when I was editing it together, I can still hear the water. Can you hear the water? Now, that's not the video file malfunctioning. It's something called VIA, which is visual hearing, and scientists argue about that. There was a GIF that went viral last year, I think, it had a pylon in it that was jumping and the GIF would shake when it hit the ground and people said that they could hear the shaking, but there's no sound in the GIF at all. It's a bit like synesthesia, that's how some scientists explain it, that your brain makes up that sound because it thinks it should, because it's seeing something that it associates with sound. So can you hear the water in that clip? I'll insert it again here. Can you hear it? Not all people can hear it. I know that because VIA doesn't work with everybody. Anyway, I find it really interesting. Tangent, side note. So I was listening to Case Histories. I knew nothing about it before going into it. I think it's much easier to go into an audiobook not knowing about it because the blurb is not on the back of the thing that you happen to be reading. I just know that lots of people love the Jackson Brodie series. So I was assuming it was going to open with him and that we would follow him around as a private investigator, but that's not what happens. So we open with 3 cold cases. 3 cases that are seemingly disconnected, but I'm going to assume probably aren't. So the first case is a family and their youngest daughter goes missing after she's camped out in the garden overnight with one of her other sisters. She is 3. So in the second one, a lawyer's daughter is murdered at his place of work. And in the third one, it seems as though a woman has murdered her husband with an axe. I'm not sure if it's as straightforward as that sounds. But yeah, it's really in detail and it feels like listening to a television series. It feels very cinematic, which is great. Jackson, I've just been introduced to, or had just been introduced to at this point, and he is, I mean, I feel like private investigators, policemen, single dudes who are married to their jobs, probably divorced, possibly have a child, very much overdone and stereotyped in a lot of fiction, and I'm hoping that his character is going to be fleshed out. I mean, I am enjoying and was enjoying the book at that point. I did feel like some of it felt a little dated, not in an offensive kind of way, but just in a way that felt quite jarring, that it just wouldn't be written in that way now. And I'm not sure if that's the characters and them being dated or the book itself being dated. It's kind of hard to work out. So at this point, when I had lunch, I decided that I would be a tourist in my own city, because sometimes that's fun to do. And I decided to take the London water bus. In the first reading and walking vlog that I did, I walked a bit along Regent's Canal. The water bus also goes along Regent's Canal. The last London water bus from Little Venice was at 4:30, so I booked that when I was eating lunch, because you can book online. I'll link it down below. I'd recommend booking online just because you could turn up and all the seats could have been taken, and that would be a pain. And then I had to walk pretty quickly across Hyde Park, through past Queensway, past Paddington, down into Little Venice to get on to the water bus. So the London water bus on Regent's Canal goes from Camden to Little Venice and back again, and I think there are 3 each way each day, and a one-way ticket is £12, so it's not that cheap. It does take 50 minutes to an hour, and it goes very, very slowly. I mean, you could probably walk it in that time as well, but it's a really lovely thing to do, and you know that I like to be by the water, and as I said, it's fun to be a tourist in your own city, so that's what I did, and here's the footage of that. So peaceful and lovely, isn't it? So I got off the boat at Camden Market, had a little wander around Camden Market, and then decided to walk to Chalk Farm and hop on the Northern Line 2 stops to go to Hampstead Heath. I could have walked there, but it's not a very exciting walk, it's just up a main street. So I decided to hop on, cut off the like roady part of the walk, and then I could continue into the greener part, which is, you know, one of my favourite things to do in London is to seek out the calm, quiet, green spaces. Plus, I really wanted to get to the Hampstead Creperie before it closed, and I did manage to get there. And if you find yourself in Hampstead, again, this is slightly touristy because it's quite hyped, but it's hyped for a reason. There's a truck there with 2 French people who run a creperie in it, and it's fantastic. But that does mean that there's always quite a queue. So this was the queue, and I stood in the queue for 10 minutes, and the queue didn't move at all. So I came to terms with the fact that I wasn't going to be able to eat one unless I stood there for like an hour or something, which I just couldn't be bothered to do. And then I decided to walk onto the Heath, and I think it was about 6 o'clock at this time. And then I walked around Hampstead till about, it was about 8 o'clock at night, so the light was really beautiful. I listened to more of the audiobook, and then I sat down on Hampstead Heath to read 2 stories from the short story collection, All the Names We Use for God. So I will insert that clip here. From there, I went home, and when I got home, I checked my phone, which told me that I'd walked just over 27,000 steps, which was just over 10 miles. And I'll turn that walk, well, I won't turn it to a map, I'll put the walk on a map, and I'll link that down below in case you want to go and do the walk yourself. I was out of the house for just over 8 hours. I listened to 6 hours of my audiobook, and I'm really enjoying it. I'll report more once I finished it, and I'll talk about it in a wrap up. I think having a character-driven crime book as opposed to just a plot-driven crime book is the kind of crime that I particularly like, because I don't pick up crime that much. And I think also having it slow, character-driven means that it works really well for audio as well, which I appreciate. And if I like it, I've got, I think, 4 other Jackson Brodie books to read afterwards, which is quite exciting. When I sat down on the Heath and I read the first 2 stories from this collection, I thought, and still am hoping, that this could be my favourite short story collection of all time. That's quite a bold statement, but honestly, the first story made me cry, which is called The World by Night. It's about a woman who has albinism, who has a husband who's an explorer, and he travels far and wide, and she decides that she wants to explore as well. So she starts exploring all of these caves that are near her house and the dark world underneath, because it's easier for her to see because her eyesight is very, very poor because of the condition that she has. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. The second one, which is called Glass Lung, is about a man who is burnt after an explosion at his place of work, where he's helping a scientist mine for these particles that he's turning into this very thin glass. And then that links him with his daughter, who then cares for him, and she is the assistant to an Egyptologist who is very interested in hidden treasures underground, much like the things that he was mining for. And yeah, no, I just thought that they were both fantastic, and obviously they both deal with bodily difference. And I underlined one phrase in the second one. I have to say, I enjoyed the first story more than the second one, but I still love the second one very much. Where is this line? Oh, here we go. Here we go. So this is after he's just got home from hospital. He spent hours at night standing before the mirror after Effie went to sleep, holding a candle at his shoulder and craning his neck to look at the mottled red and white skin on his back. He wondered if his lungs looked the same. He imagined them hanging like clouds in his chest, swollen with glass instead of rain. I mean, yeah. So I was right in thinking that this book is ticking all of the boxes of things that I am really drawn to, and I'm hoping that the rest of the book continues in that way. I will link all the names we use for God and case histories in the description box down below in case you would like to go and find out more about them. I will hopefully do more walking videos this summer too. I haven't done any since the end of last summer. It's difficult to do it in the colder months when the light is not so good, but I'm hoping to do more of these because I really love doing them. Please let me know in the comments section if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy my channel and my podcasts and would like to help support, I have a Patreon page that's also linked in the video description down below. There are tiers and different things you can unlock, and anything that you can throw in the tip jar is very much appreciated. I hope you all have a great week, and I will speak to you very soon. Lots of bookish love. Bye.